In this video, I'll discuss navigating conflict. You'll surprise no one that things go wrong when you're trying to get a PhD. In fact, it would be weird if you went through a PhD program or a graduate program and you got along with everyone at all times. Often, these programs tend to have folks who are particular in the things that they want to do, or how they want to say things, or just how they interact with others. When it comes to navigating difficult personalities or navigating conflict, you can have an avoidance strategy, or you can deal with the conflict head on. The goals can be as simple as, I want to stop talking to this person. But they can be a little bit more complex, especially when you're dealing with someone who might have influence over your career, have access to resources that you need, or you know that it's probably a bad idea for you to be on the bad side of this person long term. So understand what your goals are. Do you need something? Do you need to get some information? Do you need this person to somehow vouch for you, or at very least not get in your way? Sometimes no action is the best action when it comes to people who cause conflict. So have a goal. Once you have your goals in place, then you're in a good spot, because at very least you have that anchor or that guiding light that will help you navigate the relationship, the moment, and really get you in a place where you're trying to accomplish something. And often reframing conflict as a problem that you're solving can make things a little bit easier. The first thing that you should do is check your ego. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how important you are, even if you don't feel important, none of that matters when it comes to navigating conflict. You should understand where your ego falls in the distribution of egos. Do you have a big ego? Do you have a small ego? Chances are, if you're in the program that you're in, you at least have a medium to large size ego. And that's not unhealthy, but it can be unhealthy when it clashes with someone else who has a similar sized ego or probably a larger ego. One of the reasons that you should check your ego is because there's no winning or losing when it comes to navigating interpersonal conflicts. It's just getting through it, and ideally getting to a place where you can still talk to this person and engage with them professionally. Egos have a way of poisoning the interaction. Something simple can become competitive for no reason other than you want to win, or you want to feel that you are better or smarter. Now, you can only control your side of the equation. You can only control your own ego and how you respond to what other people are doing. There's a chance that the other person won't be the bigger person. Your ego is going to be there whether you win or lose. You could pretend you won and have a big ego if you like. But either way, checking it is important because it keeps you focused. So keeping your goals in mind gets you to a place where you might acknowledge that you have an ego, but you can safely ignore it, even if it's just for a particular interaction. It's important to preserve the relationship. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. If this person's a jerk, why would I want to preserve the relationship? And the reason is, lots of people are jerks. Most people? Probably not most people, but a lot of people are jerks. And you can't walk around in a professional setting ignoring everyone who you disagree with. In fact, that's poison in the academy. The whole point of being an academic is to collaborate, intermingle, have difficult conversations with people who disagree with you, and to come away understanding a different perspective. So even if the person that you're in conflict with is a person that is unsavory for whatever reason, try to preserve the relationship. That doesn't mean you have to like the person, but what it means is that when it comes to doing work, when it comes to a moment in time where you have to do something and they're the person that you have to do it with or for, you can still do that in a way that doesn't alienate you or make it more difficult. This is important, especially when the power differentials are different. Hmm. This is especially important when there's an uneven power distribution. Often, especially as graduate students, you're in a position where you don't have any authority over the people who might be difficult. And it's tricky. There's no way around it. You might think, why do I want to preserve the relationship? Well, a couple of reasons. One is everyone's connected. You don't know who knows who, and you don't know if the person who's a jerk to you is actually a perfectly fine person to other people. I want to emphasize that preserve the relationship does not mean that you have to interact with the person often. All it means is that during professional interactions, you can do it. They're possible. You're not the type of person who walks by and has to ignore them or has to leave the room. Often friction comes from misunderstandings. But once you've resolved those misunderstandings, you can be in a position where you can be on friendly terms with the person who you had a conflict with. That doesn't mean you'll be friends with them, but you can be friendly or at very least professional because you've resolved that initial interaction that might have caused a conflict. And you never know, the person who you were in conflict with might be someone who supports your career later down the road. It's important for you to take a long view when it comes to relationships. The person you don't like today may be the person that writes you a letter of recommendation tomorrow. When you're actually navigating a conflict, stand your ground and be assertive, be respectful, but understand your position and defend that position. If the person is a narcissist and you back away quickly, they see themselves as someone who can take up more space because you've given it to them. You can be respectful and still be assertive. One of the reasons is that disagreements don't always resolve. People can walk away from a disagreement and still disagree, and that's okay. But it's important when you're in that situation to not back down unnecessarily. If you are in the wrong or if you misunderstood an interaction, sure, then own it quickly and say, well, I was wrong. Let's resolve that. But if you weren't wrong, if the other person is being unreasonable, don't back down. Understand that a stalemate is often a perfectly fine resolution. People walk away continuing to disagree, but at very least they were able to have a conversation. And that's what I mean when I say navigating conflict. You navigate it understanding that sometimes you're not going to walk away feeling better about the person who caused the conflict. No matter what, the whole point is being able to navigate it and walking away from it, maintaining professional relationships, especially if there are other observers. Those are just some tips I have for navigating conflict. Feel free to add yours to the comments below.